Good morning. You've tuned into ET Now. This is Buy Now, Sell Now. I'm Karunya Rao. Let me take you through how the markets are faring. For starters, you have SENSEX gaining about 85 odd points right now. We saw a minor blip coming in the markets about an hour back or so, but it has picked up steam from there on, slowly inching towards the day's high. Nifty is up about 0.3%. Broader market, mid-cap index definitely outperforming. Right now it's up 0.6%. Small cap index completely in line with how the benchmarks are performing. Within the sectoral basket, you have some selling pressure coming in banking stocks. Some of the metal names and PSU banks are the one witnessing some selling pressure at the moment. But on the flip side, you have Nifty IT, which continues to be very, very upbeat right now. Also, it's up about 1%. Nifty Realty is up more than 1%. Nifty Auto also is in fast lane. FMCG index also doing fairly well. It's up about 0.5% in trade. From the benchmark index, you have the likes of Tata Motors, Bharti Airtel, Bajaj Auto, Adani Port, Bharti Infratel and Hero MotoCorp, which seem to be zooming ahead in trade. And from the broader markets as well, let me flag off some mid-cap names which are doing very well right now. You have a Bharat Dynamics up 10%, Philips Carbon up 8.5%, Hindustan Aeronautics doing very well, flying in trade. You have Minda Industry, BEL, Affle India, Adani Green, Lakshmi Vilas Bank, IDBI Bank, IB, Real Estate. These are the names which are looking fairly upbeat in trade from the mid-cap index. Let me give you some updates as far as the pandemic is also concerned. India's recovery rate breaches 60%. Bharat Biotech, meanwhile, its Covaxin to launch by 15th August. That's the word coming in from ICMR. RBI package for stress sectors likely. Delhi forms a panel to help companies recover. Home Minister stresses on the usage of Arogya app. Meanwhile, Health Ministry revises rules for home isolation. After Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu rules out community transmission as well. COVID tests to hit 1 crore mark, word coming in from the Health Minister. BMC is looking to buy 15,000 more vials of Remdesivir. Finally, if you look at US, there the cases have hit a new single-day high. We have both our guests ready as well. Kunal on the technicals, AK Prabhakar on the fundamentals. Morning, gentlemen. Kunal, how do we read into the markets right now? Nifty is inching very close to 10,600 mark. Is that a level it could sustain and build up on?
So good morning, Karunya. We are heading now into a very, very strong resistance on the index. Now it's two-pronged resistance. One on the Nifty price front. That's the 10,600 to 700 zone. So that's been one of the major resistance or major support points earlier. So the levels tend to change the characteristics depending on the trend of the markets where we are. So we are now heading into that kind of a resistance zone. The other part to look at is the 200-day moving average, which I also believe is a very important resistance. So one has to try and play the momentum till your stop losses are, and then look at how the markets behave globally as well. If there is any sense of stability, then at least the 10,400 or 500 supports, they would hold on. But if those supports break, then there could be a possibility of a sharper correction which could happen. So the outlook is maintain your long bias, but trail your stop losses as much as you can if you're an index trader particularly.
All right, okay. Prabhakar, hi. Could you talk to us about some wealth creation bets? Of course, Kunal has flagged off some sense of caution right now, but over the medium to long term, which are the stocks that could weather the storm?
Good morning. I feel defense sector is one sector which can do very well because the border tension, government has started to release money, to many companies. So in that, I think BEL, which has an order book of 52,000 crores, and their execution rate last year was 12,500 crores. So now I think the speed with new factory coming in Andhra, the speed of execution will start to increase, and there is a margin expansion story in them. I think BEL can, in long term, do very good. BDL, that is one company which has done very well today. I think in near term, maybe 6 months to 1 year, that also will give outperformance due to the border tension. No, I don't think this tension will ease off very soon because the Chinese are thinking that they are so new superpower, so they will create a tension. So I think Indian defense spending will be on a higher side. And one more stock which I like is HDFC Life, which is coming into Nifty. So Vedanta is going out of Nifty. HDFC Life is coming into Nifty. And this sector, life insurance as a sector, has been growing at 15% CAGR for the last 17 years. So I think any stock which has come into Nifty, 1 year performance has been very good. And I think HDFC Life can be slowly bought because I'm not comfortable at the levels market valuation at which market is trading. So one has to do like a SIP.
All right. Okay, Kunal, what are your trading bets?
So currently there'll be a couple of buy calls, and again, I think the focus is more on large cap names because I would assume that if there is further stability, it should be provided by large cap names on the upside. And I'm going with two stronger names. So the first one is about Bharti Airtel. The stock finally showing some signs of a breakout today. I think that 550, 560 range for Bharti Airtel is finally seeming to now act as a support zone. So that's going to be a buy call. First buy call, targets to be kept at 625 and stop loss at that support zone of 550. And the second would be about ICICI Bank. So I think out of the private sector banks, this seems to be now one of the stronger stocks in multi short-term time scale. So whether it's the hourly charts, whether it's the daily charts, the supports are just about rising for ICICI Bank. 50 DMA now is a very important and a key support. Then the stock apparently has been holding on to those levels. So I think it could be an interesting buy for short-term trade. Keeping a strict stop loss of 355. Would recommend a buy on ICICI Bank as well. Targets of 388.
Okay. All right, then let's move right on to some emails that we've received from our viewers and try and help address their queries as well. First up is from Ram. He has bought 100 shares of Chola Finance at 302. So that's the query that he has, and he wants to know the short-term view on this particular stock. He's clearly not making any money on this, at least at this juncture. Wait, one second. Yeah, he hasn't been able to make any money on Chola as at this point in time. But looking at the technicals, Kunal, how do you see the chart perform over the short to medium term? Should he book losses and exit, or should he wait to at least break even?
Wait, yes, I believe that NBFC stocks, have underperformed, but then they're showing some signs of revival, at least on the short-term charts. Now, what's actually happening is that after the June rally for many of these NBFC names, these stocks are now forming a bullish flag pattern. It's almost like a unison, where almost if not all, then majority of the stocks are forming a similar sort of a pattern, a bullish flag pattern. And if these stocks manage to break out, so you have to first find the leader, that which should be the leading stock which gives the breakout. Then I believe all the other stocks which have shown signs of potential of similar chart patterns, even they could follow a breakout. And I think Chola Finance or Chola Investment could be in similar regards in that sense as well. So I would suggest a hold. Maybe over the next couple of weeks, take a call if the stock gives the breakout, and if you see the stock moving up higher, then you can trail your stop losses higher and then probably ride the trend.
Okay. What is your view on Chola then, Prabhakar? Within the NBFC space, is it an attractive bet to stay invested in, or should he perhaps look at better names?
Yeah, I think if he has to invest in NBFC, Cholamandalam is one of the best managed company. And if we see the NIMs, it is almost 6.7% in the last quarter. Previously, it used to be around 7, but with the lockdown and other effect, the NIMs have slowly come down. But the loan book is very healthy at 55,000 crores. So I think it is a good thing. But 6 months of moratorium is something which will impact NBFC and bank. So he should not add any positions here. NBFC or bank will take time for recovery. So you need to have more patience. If you're a long-term investor, you be here. But short term, I'm not too convinced about banks or NBFs.
All right then. That's the verdict coming in on Chola Finance. I hope our viewer is taking note of this. Next up is another email query, and this is from Jay Shah. He has bought 200 shares of Tata Motors. The buying price is 168. Wants to know whether he should hold or sell. Does not specify what is the time horizon he's looking at, but good to get in perspective on both the fundamentals and technicals of the company. Technicals first, then Kunal. Currently trading at 105, and we've all seen the way the stock has come down crashing over the last many months now. It has been volatile in the past as well, but now that it's trading comfortably above a 100 rupee mark, do you see it building on to these gains?
Ask, frankly, Karunya, for Tata Motors, because what has happened is that the stock has lagged behind its other peers. Now, at a time when we are talking of the last 2-3 months been exceptional for auto stocks, be it two-wheelers, be it tractors, or even selective four-wheeler stocks, Tata Motors has clearly underperformed. So at current levels, the stock had to break its 200 moving average and move beyond that as well. But you can see the charts, you can see the price recovery, and it's still struggling to break those key long-term averages. So maybe the stock is taking its own bit of time, and I believe eventually the auto stocks tend to move up higher from current levels. So I'm talking of the bigger names or the larger names in that category. Then there could be an eventual follow-up which could happen for Tata Motors. So my advice is to just hold on to the stock for some more time. Let's see how the overall auto pack perform. Maybe over the next month or so, I think things could get much more clearer for the auto stocks. If these stocks continue to rise up, say by another 15 to 20% higher approximately, then I believe that Tata Motors could also play a big catch-up role. But if that fails to happen, then I think the stock can come back to those 90-95 levels approximately. And I think that's now acting as a mean support zone or a mean pivot range now for Tata Motors.
Okay, let's talk the fundamentals then. Prabhakar, are you comfortable with somebody staying invested in a Tata Motors, a company which has once again slid back into losses? Cash position, even volumes, and the overall way things have been transpiring for the company have panned out, especially the down cycle, the never-ending down cycle in the CV space. What would be your call on this?
See, it is a very difficult stock. When you are in CV space, I don't think next 1 year or 2 year there is going to be any pickup. Now, I like something in two-wheelers like Hero Motor, where private mobility is going to be playing out. And if you see the numbers which came in June, it is just 27% lower than the previous level year-on-year basis. So two-wheeler, the pickup is very fast. I think a Hero Motor will recover fast, or even a Bajaj Auto. But why get into a company where they are in about 6 or 7 geographies, and it is very difficult. India, China, and Europe, North America, and then Africa and Australia. So many geographies you have to understand a stock like Tata Motors. So be India specific so that you can make faster return or better return also. So I think Hero Motor argues well at current levels.
Okay then. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining in, for helping our viewers out, and for sharing your views and your picks with us as well. Moving on then, let's quickly address the BNS Stock Cloud as well, just to sort of focus in on all the stocks that are buzzing in trade and that you should be looking at. First up, HDFC Life Insurance. It's going to be making its debut on the Nifty 50 index at the end of this month with effect from 31st of July. It will be replacing Vedanta on this index. Next up, PI Industries. ET Now Newsbreak was confirmed. They're launching a QIP, and that's the reason the stock is in focus. Vedanta, another stock to watch. Like I said, Vedanta will be replaced on the Nifty 50 index by HDFC Life. Another stock to watch and trade. Motherson Sumi, well, there has been major reorganization of business that has been announced by the company last evening. The management has talked about massive value creation as well and opportunities that lie ahead, but the stock, however, looks pretty beaten down right now. Another name from the Motown to watch out for is the Tata Motors. Let's pull up a Reliance Industries as well. 12th check coming in for the company. Intel Capital is looking to buy stake close to 0.39% in Jio platforms. They will be investing 1,800 odd crores. BHEL, another stock to watch out for. And finally, you have JB Chemicals, wherein KKR will be buying stake, and that's the reason the stock is buzzing.
All right, thanks for that, Stock Cloud, Karunya. Definitely all fairly upbeat this morning. But like you mentioned, one stock, Reliance, 12th check on the anvil. And Ajay, as usual, is here to break it down for us and what it really means and what the key prospects that this investor brings to the table are. Let's listen in.
Check coming in for Reliance Jio in a matter of 11 weeks. Though this one is slightly smaller compared to the benchmark which they have set for themselves in terms of amount, but the names can't be any better than that in the world of technology. Intel, everybody knows, and this name commands respect, and so Intel has decided this time to invest close to 1,900 crore. So with this investment of Intel, where they are picking up 0.39% stake in Jio platform, the overall number divested in Jio platform goes to 25.09%. 1,17,000 crore odd money has been raised in the matter of 11 weeks by Reliance Jio platform. So clearly, technology companies are piling on. In the world where it's got disrupted by technology, this is a company which doesn't use any Chinese parts as our technology, as Mr. Mukesh Ambani has also spoken about earlier. So there's kind of a fascination to own a pie of this particular company, Jio platform, by American private equity companies, sovereign wealth fund based in Middle East, 400 million consumer base, backed by a very high quality technology. The opportunity clearly which lies ahead seem to be exciting all these marquee names. That's what the analysts on the street are talking about. So clearly good news again for Reliance Industries shareholders.
All right, thanks for that, Ajay. This stock is single-handedly driving the index higher and higher, and more investors seem to keep buying in, and all marquee names. So truly a force to be reckoned with. But moving forward, another very interesting company, Motherson Sumi, which is now going to be demerging some businesses, it seems, to create value. And earlier on in the day, we spoke to Vivek Chand Sehgal, who's of the company. And we also discussed the government initiative towards self-reliance and what that really does to the prospects for Motherson. Let's listen in.
I think, first of all, it has been a long journey. We started somewhere around 2012, January. The board constituted the committee for restructuring. And because it's a very complex kind of a situation and multiple needs of different stakeholders, so it was always a challenge. About 4 years ago, we had almost come to a solution, but then the government changed the laws, and that particular thing had to be again written off. In January, we thought it was convenient to come in because the circumstances were such that we could actually achieve almost 90% of what the stakeholders wanted. This includes Sumitomo, who's our teacher and our collaborator. They wanted that their focus only be on the domestic wiring harness business, for which this joint venture was set up 37 years ago. And then we have a lot of shareholders who were worried about minority interest and this and that, and this cross-holding and all that particular thing. So how do we align all of them together? So the board mandated the bankers, and the lawyers, and the advisors, and they could then come up with a solution, which they did. As of yesterday, they made the presentations, which I think is a solution for many of the stakeholders. I think by this particular thing, Sumitomo-san achieves what he wants. We all take care of all the concerns of whatever shareholders we've listened to in the last eight years. And then we have brought together in SAMIL all of this. including the wiring harness portion, ownership also comes to SAMIL. So that's a very unique way of putting everything together for the shareholders in Motherson, in SAMIL. The SAMIL means new Motherson Sumi, new Motherson Sumi.
Interestingly, the financials have all been putting out their annual reports, not just financials, but all the companies rather. And we had HDFC's annual report coming out a couple nights ago with some really interesting commentary from Deepak Parekh, which was also mentioned in the Economic Times this morning. Soumya is now joining in to walk us through that. Over to you, Soumya.
HDFC Limited in focus today after its chairman Deepak Parekh in his address and annual report said that they're seeing a scenario where there may be inorganic growth opportunities that will be presented for the group companies. In fact, he added some of his subsidiary companies will need additional capital for their expansion plans, and as a result, the company is putting in place a roadmap for their future capital requirements. He also acknowledged the efforts of RBI, saying it has been at the forefront and shouldered a huge burden to maintaining financial stability. As far as lockdown is concerned, there's something that specifically he mentioned, it's that lockdown has reinforced value of essentials of life, food, clothing, shelter, and now internet. And he said that he believes that HDFC Limited is in the right business and remains confident that inherent demand of housing is intact. As far as moratorium goes, he questioned the Supreme Court's role in the moratorium, saying at this juncture, all efforts must be channeled towards economic recovery and not legal issues. In fact, the chairman also suggested few policy changes that would go a long way in supporting housing and housing finance sector as a whole going ahead. So one of them being a level playing field for external commercial borrowings. And in fact, the other point that he raised was he asked or probably suggested that RBI should permit a one-time restructuring for real estate loans. Lastly, he said that there's a need to amend regulations to facilitate end-to-end execution of mortgages online. So in a whole, he also mentioned that FY20 by no means was an easy year, and despite all of this, HDFC Limited was able to report a good performance in FY20.
Thanks, Soumya, for that. Diversification and focus to implementation will remain key objectives of BHEL, says the CMD, Dr. Nalin Singhal. Here's a slice of an exclusive conversation he had with us right here on ET Now. Take a look.
I would start that going back with our traditions. You know, we have been at the forefront of indigenous manufacturing for so many decades. And for us, it's just an opportunity to come back to our roots. We have, if you look at the energy sector, more than 57% of the energy generated in this country comes from BHEL sets. So that's the sort of, and if you look at our manufacturing bases, our employment and the complete. So for us, Atmanirbhar Bharat is going back to the roots and is something that we are sure we will play a very important role in. And we are going all out for that.
What is the status on the various government or the various EOI, expression of interest, with BHEL had invited a few quarters ago, where you are open to share or where you're open to really sublease some of your manufacturing capacities and capabilities?
So we floated an EOI, which was floated in end of April, inviting global manufacturing companies to partner with us to leverage our facilities and capabilities to set up manufacturing base in India. And I'm happy to say we have a huge number of responses, more than almost 60 relevant responses is what I would like to say. And we are going ahead with that. Some very good interests are there. And yes, we are taking it up on top priority and on fast track.
So how will these global
Right, and let's switch gears a little bit towards TMS. Everybody recommends holding investments for the long haul. But what if they are not yielding returns as you envisaged? On the Money Show's Personal Finance Masterclass, we caught up with top mutual fund manager Nilesh Shah, MD at Kotak AMC, to understand how should one go about reviewing and building their portfolio. Let's listen in.
What we request investor is to follow 3 guru mantras. 1, be a regular investor in the bull market, in the bear market, in the range bound market. 2nd, do asset allocation to achieve your investment objective. Diversify across debt, equity, real estate, commodity, and offshore assets to create a portfolio which will give real return, outperform inflation. And 3rd, most importantly, be a long-term investor. If you're young but you want to invest for your marriage expenses, then there's no point in investing in equity. You better invest in fixed income products because you will need money to spend on your marriage expenses. On the other hand, if you are an old person but you want to bequeath your wealth to next generation, then there's no point in investing only in fixed income because you have a longer term time horizon. So you should invest some part in equity. So don't just look at your age and try to create a standard asset allocation. Look at your risk profile, look at your investment objective, and then create a portfolio with an aim to generate real return. Your portfolio must outperform inflation. That's the only way you can generate real return on your portfolio. My recommendation will be at least 3 times a year, you should value your entire asset allocation. Are you in right asset class? Is there a need to restructure your asset allocation? Are you on your way to achieve your investment objective? Now, if you are invested in an instrument which is not delivering or which has become risky, you must cut your losses. Many a times what happens, people cut their profit and continue with their losses. Never make that mistake. Allow your profits to run and cut your losses.
Hello and welcome back to Buy Now, Sell Now. Here's an ET Now special coming your way this Monday. None other than Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, the making of a legend. We are getting you the phenomenal story of a billionaire stock market investor and wizard, and his trailblazing journey as a chartered accountant who rose from middle-class anonymity to the iconic status in the big bull that he is today. It's a story everyone wants to hear and one that must be told.
But for that, you need to wait till Monday. What can you expect? Well, here's a sneak peek into the film that captures the life of the legend.
I think I would like to take success with all humility. And we must realize that all success is temporary and transient. It should not change us as humans. I think that's one thing which I would never like to change. And always never forget, hum kaun, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala Share Bazaar Road Shop. Most of the mistakes are always made in the best of the times. So when your success comes, don't extrapolate it. That's always going to be the same. And you are not what you are because what you are. You are what you are because God chose you to be. So remember, it's all His doing.
Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Making of the Legend. Only on ET Now.
History often reminds us of the frivolity of a name. But now and then, they paint a legend of the game. One night, he overheard his father talking about how prices fluctuate. That was all it took to seal his fate. a gentleman, journeyman, and a charmer who always stepped in the ring, donning his optimistic armor. When you scan the paper clippings or pull statistics from a page, you may think the essence of his aura isn't difficult to gaze. The ever-elusive man behind the myth and the legend, a middle-class boy who became a force to be reckoned. Here is his tale as never heard before. Come, join us to learn more.
All right, this is one that you cannot miss. It will be unveiled on ET Now on Monday. Moving on to some more developments, PM Narendra Modi arrived in Leh Ladakh this morning for the first time after the June 15th clash with China. The Galwan standoff claimed 20 soldiers' lives in line of duty. The PM interacted with soldiers in forward positions in what is seen as a major morale booster for the forces and a strong message for China. Images showed PM Modi sitting in a camouflage tent with Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and Army Chief MM Naravane as he spoke to the troops seated at a distance from each other against the backdrop of the Himalayas.
All right, as we come to the end of this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now,